Death be not proud.
Well, alright, you ignorant pigs, put down your crack pipes and your beer bongs. It's time for Angry Tabletop Nerds RTT recap. This time I brought out the vampire count, so we're going to do something a little different. Normally I save the showcase for the end of the video and everything for what I used. But this time I'm going to do it right at the beginning so that you see the army, you have something fun to look at, and you kind of get my logic for why I brought what I brought and everything like that. So let's get to that portion and we'll be back. So here we are. Let's go over the army really quick. We got Charles de Moussillon. He's right here, my Red Duke. And he has the Crown of Command and the Ogre Blade. He rocks in at 302 points. He's mounted and has full plate with a shield. And he's just basically a big killy vampire. And then you have Ferdinand Foch, Sir Ferdinand Foch, the standard bearer here, and he has some good items on him. I really like the what do you call it? The Helm of Command, and then he's got the Screaming Banner, which makes the unit cause terror. He's mounted. They gave him toughness 5, even though he only has 2 attacks. I would rather have the extra attack than the point of toughness. And he's weapon skill 4. He's the White Lord Battle Standard Bearer, and then we have the Hangman right here, his necromancer buddy, and he's carrying the Staff of Do Not and the Spell Familiar, and he's a level 4. And he's basically there to resurrect knights and everything. So that's his job. Starting off in core, we have 14 Black Knights. This is Ferdinand and Charles's unit. And their whole job is just basically to be a big, killy wheel of a unit towards the enemy. And this is running more than 15 of these guys in a unit, so this is a 16-man unit when you put your characters in it. This is a really good bully tactic right here. I think it's slightly better than the Grave Guard simply because of their speed. You can get the Grave Guard some speed. I just, like I said before, in my head before I made this list, why would I do a big Grave Guard unit when everything I have is primarily mounted? I mean, I still have like 11 more of these old school knights and everything. And then we've got in core, again, let me get my paper closer, 2 units of 5 dire wolves, his hunting hounds basically, and they're just chaff. And there's nothing overwhelming about the chaff. And then over here we have 14 Crypt Ghouls to be a bunker for my Necromancer. Having a skirmishing Necromancer, pretty good, especially when you have the reserve move. So it's like, you just move right after you're done moving, after you're done casting magic, so you can get them in and out. That is useful. Those guys having reserve move, very useful. I believe, let me see something. Yeah, the dire wolves themselves have Vanguard and Reserve move, so they got some pretty good rules. I'd say vampire counts are the best of the legacy factions. Starting off in special, we've got just 10 Black Knights straight up. The thing I don't like is how overpriced they are, because they're not really all that good. They're the same stat line, other than the fact that they're not Leadership 8, they're Leadership 6. I believe in the 6th edition Codex, they were Leadership 8. The Black Knights were. And 298 points for 10 of these guys, just straight up. Not really that good. I think you got to turn down the points on these guys just a little bit. So I'd say, well, the 6th edition ones were, I think they were about 295 to be exact. But don't quote me on that. I'm thinking more or less a 275 point unit for 10 of these with all their rules. And then over here in special, we've got the Fellbats. I like my Fellbats, just the old basic pewter sculpted Fellbats flying around. Somewhat useful. Although they do not get the -1 for being skirmishers because of that stupid rule, oh, you're monstrous infantry, so you're not -1. And then last but not least, 6 Blood Knights. These are what I'm using for Blood Knights. Now, this is a good unit. Really good. I put this up in S tier. I really like this unit and the way it performed during the tournament and everything. You got a lot of good
a lot of good qualities with the just straight up 298 points, just a banner. No champion, no musician, just wanted to bring them bare bones, and they've got the full plate armor and the lances, of course. 2+ armor save, really useful if you can make that 2+ armor save. So that's basically the army, and let's get into game one.
So here we are, just first game, Vampire Counts versus Empire. And one of the things I did this time, because I'm playing a Legacy army, is that I kind of assembled a binder for this tournament. And that's this, moving forward, this is going to be my tournament binder. So I've got kind of everything I need. I have the Legacy faction book, of course. I've got my list at the front. And then I have papers for taking notes and what spells everybody had at the game. I think that's just one, whenever I go to a tournament, I always pack a kit. And I think it's very important to pack a kit. So one of the first things that I do is I wake up, I eat breakfast, I get my army ready. That's like step one. I put the army in the containers that I'm going to use to take it to the tournament. Once that's packed, I make lunch. I always pack a lunch to every single tournament I go to. I fill up a gallon jug of water, and in this lunch is high protein, some carbohydrates, but mostly very, very high protein. Like we're talking 2 steaks minimum, and grapefruit, banana, apple, and then maybe some mints and some chewing gum. I always bring mints and chewing gum because my mouth dries up during a tournament, and I always make sure I pack a couple of sodas, Gatorade, more hydration than one person would ever need in a day. I always put aspirin in that fucking lunchbox of mine, and I'm ready to rock and roll. There's a lot that goes into playing a tournament. I don't think people understand, like, the level of concentration during a tournament is very high. And when you're doing that, when you're that concentrated, you're burning calories. The brain can burn calories too, and so you need to have what I call brain food. So when I look at the lunch, do you have enough fat in there? So carne asada steak. You got some rice. Sometimes one of the things that I really like to do is I'll take a pound of hamburger. I'll take 5 eggs. I'll take onions. I'll take peppers. I'll mix all that together in a giant protein super pack, put hot sauce on it, and that's what I'll eat for lunch. Just a hamburger, egg, goulash, basically. I mean, I always feel weird when I'm eating that in public, but, your gut doesn't care what the food looks like so long as it's nutritious. So, yeah, very, very high density, high protein meal for the lunch. And then I don't drink caffeine after the initial cup of coffee that I take. So I always look like I'm going to the airport or going to work on tournament day. So, yeah, moving forward, I am going to be working out of the binder. But that's how I get ready for a tournament and everything. I just make sure that I have everything that I need. Again, the aspirin in case you get a headache, or the day before you were sparring and your legs hurt, your neck hurts, something might give, and then you'll get like aches and pains. Got to be able to aspirin up and everything. So usually it's ibuprofen 800s or something like that I steal from my boomer parents from time to time. They don't need it. It's just the older you get, the more good shit that they seem to give you there. So we got Empire versus Vampire Counts. So let's see here. We got to go into display capture. And then we're going to have to get rid of the lovely Akachan. Everybody likes Akachan. And we'll go into this. Let's get rid of the image. And then we got to go extreme close up. We got to go little. So let's see here. Open. All right, let's go in a little bit here. So, well, not that far. We'll go back out. Okay, as you can see, my army is very compact. Very, very compact. Like, you got my ghouls, my necromancer over there. The necromancer always has to be within proximity of all your fight units. Less so the blood knights. The blood knights themselves, a little bit more independent than the rest of the army. You want to get that initial march move out, simply because that's just, you want to have everybody within range of your general so that you can get that initial move and everything. Or if you have extra movement spells, you want to be able to do conveyance. The dogs themselves have Vanguard. I did not do it this turn. And on my left, he's also got the, what do you call it? You can see him putting down the pistoliers to come towards my left. I don't, and they're street wardens or whatever, so they're not average pistoliers. And so there's all kinds of flavors with the new Empire book that I have not encountered. But this is one thing that I really like about the game Old World. It doesn't matter what books come out, I immediately know what it is. I just immediately know what it is, and I have a sense of urgency in my head on a scale of 1 to 5, what threat these guys right up here, these guys right here in his hand, are going to project. Slim to none. They're going to kill my chaff. They're chaff killers. They're chaff themselves. As you can see here, he's got 2 units of Demigryph Knights. Now, I am worried about those. I am not worried about the cannons. I am a little bit worried about the Hellblaster Volley Gun. 2 units of Crossbowmen. A Wizard right here where the cursor is, if you can see me moving that around. And then, another unit of Knights. That other unit of Knights. So, we're going to go into turn 2 here, or picture 2. And I think this one I did get first turn, and this is just me after turn 1, where I ended up. Yeah, I put these guys in the forest. I wheeled these guys around the forest. I kind of spread out, got behind my army, made sure that I got him within 12 there, because he does have the cannons open, but I don't know how he's going to move. I put up some dangerous terrain right there in case he wants to come out and charge there, but nobody is really ever that stupid with their bigger units. They're not going to come down and charge a unit of wolves. This is an Empire, it's not a Templar Grandmaster, it's a general of the Empire. They're not as strong as the Templar Grandmaster. And the Griffin isn't as good as a dragon, but it still flies. It's still a monster. I probably wouldn't run that unless I had the points for it. But yeah, that's kind of where we're at. Got the Fellbats moving up the side. This is going to be a very hard-fought battle for me in terms of the movement phase. Let's see here. We'll go to the next one because for whatever reason it didn't number correctly. All right, so after his turn 2 and everything, you can see that I've lost some wolves. I've lost a Blood Knight. He's come up over here. I put that dangerous terrain out there. Doesn't matter. He can move around it. And then I put these guys up here. Maybe he'd charge down now that the Fellbats are coming up. I got really lucky on my turn 2 when his Hellblaster didn't blow up all of my wolves. My vampire, I forgot, has the Lord of the Night. I forgot to mention that. He has the Lord of the Night, which means I can bring back D6 creatures of the night like bats and wolves just in the command phase alone. I just bring back D6 guys. That's really good, especially for how cheap Chaff is in this game. Like, Chaff just like another one bites the dust, and another one down, and another one down. It just, like, that's how easily Chaff gets killed in this game. Like, tack squads in 30k with their paper shirt 3+ saves have more use than any kind of Chaff unit in this game. So, yeah, this is me making my move here. I wanted to make sure that these guys stay on the front. I'll invite this charge in because with Ferdinand, the White Lord, he's got the Helm of Command. I kept consistently rolling to be Weapon Skill 5, which is really good. Weapon Skill 5 Black Knights, they actually project the threat. I do like that. That is a very useful tool. I wish Vampire Counts had it back in 6th edition because then their course of action would have been obvious. Not to mention the Screaming Banner, me causing terror, so he would take a fear test against me. That big guy, not so much, but just moving forward over there, the orange dice signify that I got a spell off. That's Van Hell's Dance, and I got them up to Weapon Skill 6. Full D3, D3. So that was my thought process. Try to keep the Knights at Weapon Skill 4 to 6 at any given time. Or even get one unit up to Weapon Skill 9, but that never really came up. Okay, so as I start to make my move, one thing that I noted down in this game is that I can only mute the cannon shooting for so long. The cannons do project a threat because they blow through all my guys, and I have to raise my guys back up. I was able to basically take this unit, and depending on where he placed it, the cannons became less of a threat. This is a big 12-man unit of the Knights. They're drilled and everything. They've got the cavalry hammers. But he fanned out across the board, and now he's gonna kind of got to wheel to me on my left. So if I'm on my left, he's got to kind of wheel to me, and then on my right, I've got to sweep like a wheel towards him. And, that's very Schlieffen plan. I've got to swing as hard as I can, and he's got to swing as hard as he can to keep from being outflanked. But this did block some shots from this cannon a couple of times. I think like 2 turns, these guys were in the way of this one cannon right here, and so it was less of a threat. Now there were a couple of times where cannons tore through my ranks. And he did shoot me, and I gave him 2 models off of my wolf unit, the initial time and everything like that, because they're skirmishers, because they're open order or something like that. I think let's see here. Go back to my list. I don't know if they're skirmish. No, they're just open order. I think I did make some pretty good regen saves with that initial unit of wolves that ate the Hellblaster. So moving right along here, I don't remember what turn this is, but this is the turn where things have to happen. I think I charged on my 4, and then he countercharged, and because he has drilled, he can fan out this way and come in, and he got the full arraignment of attacks. We had our fight, of course, in the center there, and that unit is that unit right there. I'll just pull this back up one more time. This unit is very key. This is a 250 plus something unit of the Knights right here. 12 of them drilled with hammers. He spent some points on this unit, and most importantly, they have a banner. They look nice, really. By the way, I like the blue paint job he put on these guys. So I just enjoy looking at that unit. So. Yeah, this is an important unit, and this is where the fight's going to take place here. So let's go over to 3. Here. Oh, wrong one. There's another one that looks like this, but it's not quite that one. It's this one. I think this is 4. I'm starting to make my move. I couldn't do anything about these guys on the side, so I fed them my Fellbats. They got right there, and then they moved over there, and now I started to sweep like a wheel. I'm on him. I don't care if his guy flies over me. That's fine. And we're just coming out as quickly as we can at this point. And we're going to town. We're out of the forest. We're moving. And this is me making my move. This is one element where, like, your chaff came in handy. Like my bats, they're going to get sacrificed. That's fine. I can afford the 75 points for the bats to get sacrificed. But moving forward with that spiritual vortex, pretty important. As you can see, the Hellblaster is gone. Those wolves took care of it, and that was pretty huge for this game because he was not expecting that. And I came in, got him to run away, and I ran him down. Went into the Empire dude right there. Even killed a crossbowman and put a wound on his engineer. So the wolves this is a game where chaff actually did something. So here we are on the other side of the board. As you can see, we had our fight. He backed away and rallied. I did not catch him. He moved 6. I think I moved 3, but that's good enough to get out of the charge arc of these demigryphs, and that's important too. And of course, I've got my other unit right there, weapon skill 6, holding down. There's a pillar of fire that he threw out. There's his crossbowmen. There's his wizard. There's his guns. Those are points. That's what I've got to do. And this game just took a lot of concentration trying to get to him. Because even though it's a fast army, you have to, with cavalry, you still have to move in really good order. This is one of those games where you really have to understand the nuances of the movement phase. And I'm just doing the best I can with the units that I brought. Okay, so we had another fight with his knights on this turn. We cut them down, and then we got into the cannon, which is really good for us because fighting a cannon, we're in the Goldilocks zone essentially. We at some point put a spell on them, unquiet spirits, and killed a few of them and got them to run away, even though they would rally during the later parts of the game and everything. As you can see, he flew over me. I moved again. Fellbats are dead at this point. And so I've outmaneuvered him. I got that charge off on his crossbowmen. He just picked up the unit. There was no point, even though they passed their terror test. I thought they were going to run away. He rolled like a 6. Which is exactly what he needed, by the way. And he just removed the unit of crossbowmen, because we were running short on time at this point in time here. And so I moved up a little bit to get these guys a front and everything. So it's like, if you want to come here, you can. For once, I didn't get a Van Hales off or anything like that. Otherwise, the dice would be next to him. And then this is when he got a full charge. It was a disordered charge, so he did not have the initiative. And I did really good. He came in. I made some saves. He didn't get it. He kind of flubbed his attacks a little bit, and I actually pushed him back 2 inches and killed the cannon. Now this works both ways. When you have a elite unit fighting a chaff unit like a cannon, or fighting guys on foot who are just normal dudes with swords, never send an elite unit in to bail them out, because there's a very good chance, with my initiative and everything being a 4, him coming through the forest not getting the initiative, there's a very good chance that I strike first, I get those free wounds on the cannon, and then as you can see, I did a wound to him. He only killed 1 knight because I made my saves, and I pushed him back. So basically what happens then is we sit there after his turn. And that's not a good spot. This is luck, basically, right here, what happened. But remember this scenario for later. My turn comes up. I turned around to deal with his BS because these guys aren't really a threat anymore. He doesn't really know what to do with these guys because now they're kind of out of position, and I charged his wizard. And he didn't run with. I'm surprised he didn't run with his wizard or anything. And so you got Blood Knights on the wizard. And we gobbled them up, and I think this is the end of my 6th turn, and then he still has 1 more turn that he can do. And then this is kind of where the world ends. He moved into the side there. God, I wonder why I moved them that way. I don't really remember why I moved them that way. I was something. I don't know why the Black Knights are exposing their flank to them. I know that I turned around to face everything. I think maybe what it was, if we had to go 1 more turn, I think I had the initiative to move up there and just get out of the way as I sweep around him like a wheel again. He came in here, killed a whole bunch of guys with his griffin, and then because of the way the Count's banner works with the Indomitable 1, which I don't think ghouls have, by the way. I don't think ghouls have Indomitable, but I'm just going to check that out right now. No, they don't have the Indomitable 1. He won that combat by 2, but the Count's banner special rule may reroll any failed leadership test. In addition, friendly units within the battle standard bearer's command range reduce the number of wounds lost to unstable. And I think just winged out there, we got... I think maybe I did that wrong, but he won that combat by 2 and took all but 1 wound away from the Necromancer. And I might have done that wrong, but I think I was just within range of where my battle standard bearer was to reduce that by 2. But either way, my Necromancer would have stood there by himself, and I think there's a ghoul underneath the wings there. Don't quote me on that. And that's kind of where it ended. And so... just kind of me killing his wizard up there. I accidentally broke my guy touching him, and his engineers over there, they don't know what to do. And this was a very hard-fought game, like in terms of like just the movement phase alone. It was a very slow burn. It took all 6 turns, and this game literally took the entire 2 hour and 25-minute time limit allotment. That part of it was not fun, but it was a very interesting game nonetheless. So we're going to move on here, and we're going to go into game 2 against Skaven. Worst thing about doing this is that the photos never upload in order You upload them in a certain sequence, and then they just come in all jumbled. So next game is Empire versus Skaven. And I always try to do like no more than 8 pictures, but that was just such a long game that it took more than 8 pictures. 8 pictures maximum, minimum 6. That's it. So here we go for Skaven 1. As you can see, this one is Battle for the Past. Now, a couple of notes that I made on this game is I really hate the terrain setup. They're playing that stupid square-based terrain pack, and as you can see, where's the terrain? It's winging the sides on Battle for the Pass. And this is a message to like anybody who does like tournament shit and everything. Be a little bit bolder with the terrain. I know it can get in the way and everything, and that's what it's supposed to do. As you can see, the edges of the board are impassable, and the terrain is just winging the side of impassable terrain. I mean, why can't we have a house right here where the dice are? Why can't the forest be right over here where my wolves are sitting? Why can't the house be, anything? A hill or something like that? Just moving you're basically moving the terrain out of the way of the game, making it a non-issue most of the time. And that's one thing I hate about Square-Based and their stupid tournament packs. Sure, you're a good organizer. Oh, wow, you really organized good shit for people to use, but you're not putting the terrain out there. You need to do better maps of the terrain. The terrain is basically, if you're standard deployment, it's either all on one side and there might be that one obligatory forest out there that's just like kind of like where it's just kind of like where my big unit of knights is. And so it's just like, no, this is probably like the 6th tournament I played at this store. And, not bashing the TO or anything, that's fine. I'm glad he's running these things, but just the maps for the terrain that we're using, they suck hard. You got to learn to play with your terrain. There's nothing wrong with a somewhat crowded table for a 2,000-point game. I'm thinking maybe 9 pieces minimum, depending on the size of the terrain. So if you've got a piece of impassable that's like the size of a cereal box, because terrain plays a part in 40K, it blocks line of sight and everything. But if you have to move around a big forest, and I'm just gonna hurry up and get this. You can see how big this is next to me. It's like bigger. It's the size of my head. That's a forest flat. Don't be afraid of this stuff. This really helps the game out a lot. This could buy your chaff an extra turn or something like that. But just, look at all that. That covers a big area. Maybe use bigger pieces of terrain, and don't be afraid to put a big old forest in the middle of the board and make people fight around it. That's fine. You're going to have to learn. I mean, here's a hill, still pretty big. You can see how big that hill is. Find a house that's at least this big or something like that, or a rocky outcropping and just have it be impassable. But, I just really hate the terrain setup. I think these flat pieces, they're fine. They're fine. They're just not big enough, and they're not placed where they're going to do anybody any good. Sometimes I like to take my fell bats and hide for a turn like I did behind that house. But those houses aren't big enough. And, the forests, again, think about something. It's got to be bigger than your head. It's got to be bigger than your head if you're going to use it. You've got to have real terrain. So this isn't a knock against the guy who organized it. It's just kind of, it's really more or less a knock about the way the maps are set up. It doesn't make sense to have the terrain on either side, essentially, just winging you, because then it doesn't really do you any good. I'm basically at the mercy of the Skaven gun line this turn. All right, so that's the setup. We also vanguarded during this turn. He does have to kill my chaff, so that is something. But one thing that I should have done this turn was I should have deployed opposite end. I wanted to give the Giselles something to shoot at, but what I should have done was deploy the exact same way I deployed for my first game. and be more towards the side where the water bottle is. Everything should be over here more. Everything should be over here more. And so there's that. He got some really large movement with his doom wheels and everything. The doom wheels, I'm on the fence. Like after seeing what they can do, they can cause a lot of casualties. And this is something that meta plays a part in. You can cause a lot of casualties with the doom wheel, but if you're fighting undead, you're just not going to cause enough damage because, again, these are gambling machines. And I don't like to gamble. Because if I gamble, I lose. Now, one thing I kind of feel very dirty for is that he rolled some dice, and okay. When I'm playing a tournament, I will admit to you on this broadcast here that I am a beat behind where you think I might be when you start rolling. So he rolled some dice and he's like, this one's my scatter, just normal d6s, which is fine. This one's my scatter. This one's my how many hits I get. This one's how strong it is. This one's how many hits I get, and so forth. And I think he rolled like 3 dice, and I had no idea what was going on and everything. And so I kindly asked him to roll my artillery dice, which I think is fair. You should always have everything you need when you go to a tournament. If you forget your artillery dice, the one with the numbers on it, that's fine. But I've had some bad experiences in some of these tournaments, and it's not this guy. It's, just where people have rolled dice that have icons meaning something like the 6 or the 1, and I don't immediately know what those icons mean. Now, we established very early that his icons, as you can see, there's one right there just behind his Doomfire Warlock. They're all 6s. But there was one opponent in particular that just rolled a bunch of dice one time, and he had a special symbol for 1 and a special symbol for 6 on those dice. And so ever since then, I've been a little bit wary about where when you roll a shit ton of dice, and like I said, I'm a beat behind where you think I might be. I'm processing the information at IQ African, basically. And so I kindly asked him to roll the artillery dice, and then I felt really bad because that thing proceeded to misfire on him the entire time. And he's like, this is your dice, and I kept rolling it, and I didn't give you a weighted dice. I rolled, I kept rolling 8 for some reason. But that thing put 2 wounds on this Doom Wheel. But again, I think that's fair. I'm not trying to jinx his game or anything. I need to know when people bring a whole bunch of special dice, I need to know what's what so that I can process that information, if you feel me. And so, I feel kind of dirty because he took some wounds on account of he was using my artillery dice, and he's like, and then he did get a little bit frustrated. You're just going to have to learn how to multiply. But again, like I said, when you roll that many dice at once and you say, this equals A, this equals B, this equals C, and then you just roll it, I kind of need to be able to process. And so that's just me. And I want to apologize to him that I gave you a jinxed artillery dice now, if you ever watch. Not saying you will, but if you ever watch, you have my apology. And as you can see, I'm taking some losses here from these Doom Wheels and everything like that. So I think we're coming into the turn here. I ended up charging one of the Doom Wheels, killing it, restoring my wounds. I've got these guys back up to weapon skill 6. Having these guys up, and here's the other thing I don't like about the Doom Wheels. They only have a 5+ armor save. So even if you do get into combat, that's something to look at. They are toughness 5. They are not toughness 6. And then that one blew itself up. That one ended up just blowing itself up. And I felt real dirty about that. But again, a lot of dice. And then you've got the rattling gun shooting at you and everything. You got to watch out for that, because they require a lot of gambling dice and everything. And so, just like I said, I need to be able to process the information, if that sounds fair. So I was able to get rid of those. There's that pesky Pillar of Fire again being menacing. I hate Pillar of Fire. Everybody's just all about that spell. Not saying that it's overpowered. It's just that I think one of the biggest problems I have with Magic is that it's just done in the command phase when it should be done in the magic phase. And when I try to dispel something, I can't roll above a 5 and actually dispel it, which I think Pillar of Fire is a 9. I just wasn't able to get rid of it. So I'm not worried about that. I'll move right through that every day because I have the Staff of Do Not. But again, I just don't like my deployment like this. I think I need to be more compacted over to one side and denying a flank completely. So over here, I sacrificed my Blood Knights and killed that. He had that gun out there in front that was just like, there was nothing I could do about it, and I wasn't going to turn that gigantic base right there of guys to basically let him line up a flank charge with this infantry unit and lock this unit down. So I had to do something. As you can see there, I lost some Black Knights. We're about to have our fights here, but I did lose my Vampire Knights. And this is one of the Skaven's saving graces, even though I'm going to say that they're okay. They did get, Square Base did hit home a little bit by fixing them with an FAQ that everybody can agree on. I'll give them that. But this unit can fight, although I think it's very expensive and a little bit overcosted. As you can see, we get bounced. This initial combat, he overran into me through the Blood Knights and everything. And then the initial combat, he was kind of locked like that. I backed off 2 inches, and Weapon Skill 6 saved me, at least. He killed 5 knights out of that. He killed 5 knights out of that unit in the combat, and then I crumbled D3 less because this is the Battle Standard Bearer unit and everything. And so that did save me because this unit, when it's frenzied and everything, he can distribute the Skaven Brew, get the frenzy, and he can move right out and just really hit you home with a lot of attacks. Not to mention the Bell impact hits come in, and everything that Bell does on impact does hurt. But this time, he's not far enough to get over 3 inches to get the impact hits. He won't have enough momentum. And that's kind of how his turn went. We got my Black Knights over here, if you can see where my cursor is, fighting the Suck unit. And so this is the unit that, this extra unit of Black Knights that's over there fighting, they can go. I don't really need this unit. I need to replace it with something. They're just... The problem that I have with you have a 300-point unit of Black Knights, and it's only slightly better than somebody else's core. Slightly better than Clan Rats. You cause fear, but the way fear works is you have to outnumber them to actually cause fear, and they're only slightly better than everybody else's core. This time we're really taking a pounding. He's taking casualties as well. My Lord keeps getting challenged out to fight his Lord. I killed his general. I even took in the first initial combat, I took on the Bell, did that for a couple of wounds. He stopped doing that once he realized that I had the Ogre Blade, and if you get one bad round of combat with the Vampire Lord, who's usually like, he's hitting you on 2s. He's hitting you in the Bell on 2s, and all I have to do is roll 4s, and you might not get a save, and then I'm doing D3 wounds. He stopped doing that. So I did did pick up some wounds here. I think the orange one is the first wound, so he stopped doing that. And then I think in this round, I killed his general. But that first initial push, yeah, he challenged out the Bell. And then, of course, I get pushed back again after whittling him down. That fight over there with the... let's just zoom in on this part right here. We'll scroll up a little. The Knights keep pushing back the Skaven. I want to be in combat because Giselles can't shoot in combat. Giselles are really good, and that's like that 9-man unit is like 170 points. But I think that the bread and butter of the army, of the Skaven army, is the Bell unit. So I think that having a sizable Bell unit of Storm Vermin, having that Death Star, I think you should strive for a unit that's as big as this footprint here for the Bell unit, and then maybe bring the Abyssal Terror or something to support it. But have the elements that you need to support that Bell unit in close combat, because that's literally your only unit that you're going to have to do anything with. So whether that's 2 units of 20 Plague Monks on each side or something like that, with like a Skaven with a great weapon in there, Skaven hero with a great weapon, whatever you got to do to support this unit. I think this is the biggest bread and butter unit that the Skaven have is Storm Vermin with the Bell, because it's a really tough unit. And I'm not, and again, even though I'm weapon skill 6, I'm not really doing the damage. I mean, that I need to be doing, because, you know, Black Knights, again, only slightly better than everybody else's core, but a big unit of Black Knights, I think works. That's just my opinion. Put that down in the comments there, but we keep getting pushed back. We're not winning the combat. He still has Frenzy, and that's hurting. And as you can see here, I'm poised up right here for a charge on the flank later. And that's just how it's going. I think this game went full turns. Again, this was another hard one. And I think this is the end of turn 6. We got these guys to run away, so they're not contributing any points. And then that thing kept taking wounds. Yeah, I lent him this dice right here where my cursor is. And again, I think that's fair. You know, I mean, he does have this dice, which means he should have one of these with the... see, the exclamation point, I immediately know what it is because I invented the exclamation point. And... But as you can see here, there was this one point where I thought that I would put them in to the, what do you call it, into the combat to bail my ass out. And so you go back to this picture here where I suffered a shit ton of casualties. Let me find it real quick here. Boom. No, nope, I guess not. I don't have that picture. So there were a couple times where I thought I would help out. I put my ghouls in and I didn't get enough initiative to be initiative higher than Skaven, even though I was like initiative 5. Storm Vermin, or starting at a 4, he kept being initiative 7 because he kept getting that charge. And I kept going back 2 inches or something like that. But there was a time where I thought he was going to be able to turn and go after my Necromancer's unit. But because of how wide he was, he would have had like 2 inches in the Vampire Counts unit. And then because he was frenzied, he could not take a reform. He could not take a reform action and go after the Necromancer's unit. But yeah, there was a time where I thought I was going to lose this game because I put my ghouls in there hoping to do some damage on the side with my two attacks at poison. Don't ever fucking do that. So I already mentioned how you don't want to bail out an elite, a chaff unit with an elite unit, and that's why. Ghouls cannot fight next to Black Knights. You're just giving your opponent free combat res. They're a good vessel for your Necromancer, but you do not want to put them in the initial combat to bail your ass out. So this is where the world ended, basically. I did whittle down this unit, and I was lucky enough to get it down to down below 25 points. At this time, I kept challenging. He kept putting his and on that round, I think he put his battle standard bearer in the back so that he would save those points. And of course, I was able to re-heal up to full wounds because that's just done in the command phase and my Necromancer isn't fighting. And as you can see there, I did lose a little clump of ghouls. Never do that again. But yeah, this was a victory for the Vampire Counts. And it was a hard-fought one. This was a pretty rough game. Pretty rough game, very bloody. Again, I think what you want to do is you want to have 2 units of 5 Giselles. I think he had 9. I think 2 units of 5 on each side, pretty good, pretty decent because they're so cheap. But I don't know about the cannon, and I don't know about all the Doom Wheels. I do know that the Bell unit, in my opinion, pretty fucking good when you set it up with the Storm Vermin and you make an elite brick. I just think that has to be bigger than what he had to continue going. I think if you'd make that a maybe 40 Storm Vermin with the Bell, the Battle Standard Bearer, and the Hero Lord, you probably want to do it that way. And then maybe you bring some normal Clan Rat units and you put a great weapon rat in each one so that they can fight a little bit. You got to support that. The key is to Skaven, I think, is you got to support this unit in combat because it can do a whole lot. I mean, I got bullied. This is a bully unit getting bullied by an even better bully unit. And that's kind of what the game came down to. So now we're going to the third game, which is against Lizardmen. Now I went right back to that. Again, Deployment, I think I should have been a little bit more compacted. And what I should have done was he got to put down a free pond. That's something. What I should have done was but I had to put a wall down on my side. I should have taken this. I didn't use it. After deployment, I should have taken this and just put that wall down there against those skinks. Like, oh, there's a wall for you to. I mean, he'd just walk around it anyway, but it still would have been. It would have been something. And as you can see there, he's got his big Carnosaur over there. And this is capture and control, of course. Whereas the first scenario was just standard kill. The other one was battle for the mountain pass. But the objective is there. I don't think there was a way I could have out-deployed him. Because this counts as a drop. That's a drop. 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 You got the pterodons, the ripidactyls over here. Drop. I think, and then he's got this. He has less drops than me, which is really big. And I think this is one of those games where I really needed to go first, and I did not get first turn. So this is going to be the course of the game. I made some notes here. After we started moving, I killed a unit of skinks and everything. We start mixing it up. Now, I know that this guy has to come down. He's going to come down, so I'm going to feed him a unit of wolves. Only problem is, this is the big problem. The big problem. The Carnosaur didn't kill any of the wolves. His guy killed all the wolves. And so this puts a wrench in my plan. That still has once the Carnosaur kills something, it picks up Frenzy and has to overrun. I was not lucky enough for that to happen. The guy on top killed all the wolves. And basically, he overran and he was able to reform, which really put a wrench in my plan. And of course, I had to take my chances. He got a long bomb charge off with the Stegodon there, and I was hoping to kill the Stegodon with my Blood Knights. And I really needed that. I really needed this fight right here to go my way because he kept casting. What is it called here? The Camp March spell from Illusion on my big unit. And that's, I'm going to get the name of it. It's Miasmic, I think Illusion. Miasmic Mirage, -2 movement, and this spell makes it so you cannot march or charge, which I think, just the not being able to charge part, pretty brutal. I think they should FAQ that down to -3 movement, but you can still charge. That would have been something. But not being able to march or charge just basically left that unit static. And now here's the other problem that I had with this game. This is one of those games where it's like you can do really good, but it's not in the cards. He got Miasmic Mirage off on a 15 the first time. Didn't even come close to stopping it. That's the best case scenario. You get Miasmic Mirage off on a 15. Stopping my big unit. I don't have a big enough hole for that unit. Now, there was a lot of thinking that went into this game where it's like, God, how can I get around him? What can I do? There's not much I can do to get around him. That first initial Miasmic Mirage kind of screwed me. It's like when you need to stop a spell, you don't get to stop a spell. And this is one of my complaints about Magic and the way that it works. You got to have the magic resistance. That, well, hindsight is 2020. There's a lot of different ways I could have ran this list. All right, so there's nothing I can do there in terms of once I'm in my third game in the tournament and everything. So, that went off on a 15. Course. And so this is the reform that I was talking about. He did not pick up Frenzy. Now he's reformed to look at the rear end and the side of my army, and I have nothing over there that can stop him. I have a vampire on a horse in a Death Star unit. And this is, initially I was sitting there thinking Monday before the tournament, I should really build my dragon and bring that guy. And I just said, I don't have the time because I'm blobbed down with like all kinds of 30K shit. I'm very, very much committed to my group in 30K right now. We've got 4 players. We can play every weekend. And so that detracts from my fantasy. But I am going to make some time for that dragon. And I'm damn sure going to get him built because I fucking need him. So, oh, that's just a bloat. That's a bloat toad token for those guys. It makes the Ripperdactyls hate him. So as you can see, I lost a bat to some skinks, but he's over there on my flank with a reform. If he had, this thing has a higher initiative than the rider, and if he had killed some of the wolves, which he didn't do, the rider killed all the wolves, he wouldn't have been able to do that because he would have picked up frenzy. Because I found that out in my game later that after it kills something, it picks up frenzy and then it has to overrun. And so I had to cast the ethereal spell. Now there's a necromancer spell, and my friend uses it to turn ethereal on his dragon in his Tomb King's army, which you can't do. But it's called Spectral Seed. It's a remains in play. This spell can only target a friendly character whose troop type is infantry. So if you're on a dragon, we were playing that wrong, but it's all good. If you're on a dragon, that won't work. But what this does is turn you ethereal and lets you gain fly 10. So I had to do that on my necromancer because now I have to feed this guy the ghouls. And I thought long and hard about what I was going to do and everything. And this fight was going back and forth with this Stegodon here. I mean, I got 4 guys in base contact event, essentially. And there's just like, I really need to hit home and kill this thing. Or at least make it break. If I can make it break, run it down, get into this infantry unit, I can mess this infantry unit up a little bit and bloody his nose, which was the goal. I need to be able to bloody his nose. Or go after the toad in the power chair because these guys have magic attacks. Okay. Now, I mentioned before that he was using Miasmic Mirage on me. I counted 3 times, 2, 3, and 4, turn 4, where he did this to me. And as you can see there, I started fighting with that guy. I flew over there and I had to feed him my, what do you call it? I had to feed him my ghouls so that he won't overrun into my side and turn my flank. Can't move or do anything with this unit. I thought about leaving the unit with my vampire to go after this thing a couple of times, but because he's part of the unit, he can't charge. That means I have to go out of the unit by myself with my general and take my chances for a turn, and I just really couldn't do that. And the best I was getting was weapon skill 4 on this unit. This dickhead right here kept throwing his javelin at me. And so basically I have a unit where I can't get through anywhere. This guy's ethereal. I thought about charging him, and there was nothing I can do again with this Black Knight unit. And this is where I think they need to go back to White Blades. White Blades need to be magic attacks again. And then it would justify the near 300 points cost on this unit. Whereas I think it really only values around 275, maybe 270 at best for 10 of these guys. I think they need to go back to 6th edition White Blades on these if they ever do a patch for the vampire counts. They just give them 6th edition White Blades. White Blades are magic attacks. They're basically killing blow, and that's it. You don't have any armor penetration unless you're using the Lance of the Great Weapon. But I think magic attacks would be useful because then I could have at least killed his general real quick. And again, so he did that 3 turns in a row, 2, 3, and 4 with the Miasmic Barrage, and each time he rolled a 15. And I couldn't stop it. Turn 5, he was out of range. And of course, there were 2 times where I thought I took a picture, and I pushed the button, and I guess I didn't take the picture, but I thought I took the picture because for 1 turn, there was also a crystal column here, and there was nothing I could do. The other picture that I took that I don't have is his slant ended up over here, and I charged him with his guys being over here in a line, and I couldn't do anything about that either because his slang got really lucky, killed all my bats. Killed all my bats, crumbled them with an assailment spell, and it was just like, he rolled really good with that assailment spell to kill my bats, and that's one of the pictures that's moving that I thought that I took, and the other one had the crystal column out. But when you roll a 15 3 times in a row, saying you can't march or charge, That's very oppressive, and that's just, and you can't dispel it. That's just one of those things that it comes down to where it's not in the cards that you're going to win this game at that point. And this is only a 4-turn game. So this is basically the last picture that I have, and it's not really summing anything up. And I double checked my phone. I know that I took 2 more pictures, but maybe I didn't fully push the button, or I pushed just to the side of the button. So this is kind of how it ended. Now, what happened in the later parts of this game? T5, I did a disorder charge against this skink unit and the Stegodon after it turned up everything. I lost this unit entirely right here. I lost these guys entirely. The Slan charged into me with his power chair, and he rolled like 7 wounds, needing 5 pluses to kill my Necromancer, and killed my Necromancer. And of course, this guy, the Slan and the, I mean, not the Slan, but the Carnosaur and the Stegodon ended up over here. But I could disorder charge them. I killed the Stegodon Ancient, which only had 1 wound left. I almost won this fight, and I was hoping to win this fight just like really hard. But impact hits being what they were, he would either get lucky with hitting me with the impact hits or doing the stomps to me, and I wasn't making the 2+ save. And the impact hits, I think, are at -3. So he was always able to keep this unit just oppressed and down with this one monster. Stegodon Ancient, still pretty good from what I take. But this unit killed the Stegodon, and it killed this unit of Skinks. And then the other unit of Skinks never rallied. I got those points, and I got like 375 points and he took 1,168 of me. I just had this unit left at turn 5. And again, I wish I had slammed into this unit and bloodied the nose of it a little bit, or at least was able to charge his monster. But not being able to charge for 3 turns or really do anything, yeah, that sucks. So the one thing that I learned that this army needs, now that I'm all done with this kind of like battle report, is that I need the dragon. I need to have an extra way of projecting a threat across the table. And this unit is good. I just think it's not as... I just think I need 1 unit of Black Knights, and then this unit goes away, and I buff up these guys. And if there's any points, I bring the Vargeists or something like that, because they're a real good threat projection. There's a few things I can do. I can run the same list that everybody else is running with 2 Necromancers, one of which is on the Mortis engine. And then they've got that giant 30-man brick of Graveguard in the center of the army. They've got the Terrorgeist. They've got the Black Coach running around out there. And then they've got the 1 unit of zombies, so they have the round of Staff of Do Not for 2 turns. You got a couple of Banshees out there running around with the Screams. There's a standard list out there, and it's just... I'd have to pick up those elements, and I don't have those elements right now. But there's another list that I'm thinking about where it's a little bit more infantry heavy, and I've got the dragon and everything, and I can actually push forward into the center without losing too many outflank opportunities. But definitely, I think I want him on. I want this vampire on a dragon because he does rival the Chaos Lord. And him flying around with the Ogre Blade, being on the dragon, more of a damage machine. I was very disappointed in the performance of my vampire this entire tournament. He didn't really do that much. It was the Blood Knights who were basically the MVPs, and then this unit bullying into the center for my wins. And those wins took forever. So, what do I rate vampire counts on a scale of 1 to 5? I'm going to give them a 4, but you need to have those elements that they deliberately made good. You need to have the Banshees. You need to have the other Necromancer. Or if you're going to bring the vampire, he's either going to be on an Abyssal Terror or he's got to be on a dragon. The vampire and a Night Bus, you can still do it. It's just not as good with him only having 4 attacks. I think he needs to have 5 attacks. I thought about bringing the lance that lets you reroll the hit, but Ogre, 100 points of gear, Ogre Blade, and the 4+ ward save, it's good enough. and it would be even better on the dragon. Now, one thing I did forget to do, I did it a few times, but I forgot to take my stupidity test for my guy. You know, I got like one chance to read my arcane journal or my PDF, and I did forget about that. So there were a couple times where I took it: stupidity, helm of command. Just one problem I think everybody has at tournaments, and when you don't get to play all the time, is you don't remember all the steps in the initial beginning of your command phase. So that's how the tournament ended up. I didn't do as good as I wanted to. I placed third because of this loss. Even though I had some wins. They just weren't large margin victories. Win against Skaven was only by 300 something points, and the win against Empire was only by 500 something points. Whereas, like, okay, the other people who lost may have. This guy, he got tabled in one of his games, and he came back to win the tournament. So, I do like the way that it's scored. He got tabled in his first game against the Skaven. Completely tabled. But, and that put the Skaven guy into second place. So, that's how the tournament went. This one, just because of that, the trifecta of Marasmic Barrage on a 15 has me rethinking. I gotta have a Dispel Scroll. So when it's my command phase, I can end something if I have to. But you can't end Miasmic Barrage. You can't. It lasts until your next turn. So that's, like I said, not being able to charge, pretty oppressive. That's a really good spell, very useful. You do that to someone's dragon, could be bad news bears. But anyway, that was the tournament and everything. And as you know, if you want to get in touch with me and carry out the conversation, you can always leave a comment down in the comment section below. If you want to talk to me personally, Instagram DMs are the best way to do that. I'm always available on Instagram. And then let's see here. This will also be available on Rumble. We actually approached the 200 marker for subscribers on Rumble, so I want to give a shout out to everybody who's following me over there. Rumble is basically the official home for when I do a battle report or animation domination, and it's also where I primarily do my paint streams. So I like to stream from Rumble. I could do a stream on YouTube. It just doesn't have the same effect. I feel like it's more organic over on Rumble. So, in case I don't see you, keep playing, keep painting, keep fighting, and stay metal, my friends. And we'll see you in the next RTT, if there is another one. Hopefully there is.
When on.
I figured sold out. It's better to burn out than to fade away.
Whoa, whoa, whoa.